So everybody has seen these cute videos of kindergarten in China, but nobody really thought about what they are actually doing, right? I'm going to explain it. This is your favorite half Chinese. So what they actually are doing, they are practicing socialism. I was researching something and I wanted to know at what age they are starting to learn about socialism, and it's exactly this age. This is what they're doing. They learning it in a playful way. Now, obviously, later they get into the deeper material, but obviously now they cannot because their brain is will not accept that. But what they're learning is very, very good because they're learning to work together. They're learning that one is good at another thing than you are, and somebody is making something for your dish or whatever it is that you need there. And so now you know that you also need this other person, and that the dish that you made is made of several different persons, that all of them you need, right? So it's not only you, it's not only your ego, like we learn in the West, right? Everybody says, this is mine, mine, mine. They are learning it comes from so many different people, right? They learning actually it is more or less where everything is coming from. Learning to appreciate things. It's typical socialist thing, and I think this is a very very good thing to do because in the Western societies, especially in the capitalist nations, we don't learn anything about politics. Nobody can tell me, and I'm talking about adults, what is left and right. They will come, oh, left is LGBTQ, and they want to take your rights away. They want to take your freedom away. That's what you will hear, right? And right wing, when you listen to the left, oh yeah, there are warmongers and blah blah blah. Yeah, these are the things, right? But they never come with actual things that it is, and they are always pretty much wrong, right? They also don't know what capitalism is, yet they live in a capitalist society. They do know that they hate socialism and communism, and they hate, yeah, that's what they hate, but they cannot define it. And that's the weirdest thing, right? So they're hating something of which they don't know what it is. They're loving something of what they don't know what it is, right? And that is exactly our problem. And that is why the people are so confused and are so easily to be set up against each other. Everybody's fighting because their neighbor is left wing or thinks that they are left wing, because we don't really have a left wing in the West. But and the other left wing, and who thinks that the left wing is angry with the right wing, right? And both are being screwed over by their government, right? I give you an example. So I'm not exactly, I don't know exactly anymore what it was about, but somebody was blaming the left wing in the Netherlands. Oh, that's a mistake of left wing. I said, but don't you know that ever since 1976 we're having a right wing party? It's a right wing government that we have ever since 1976, right? I was like, what, 3 years old then. We don't know better, right, than being right wing. It is kind of a little bit too rich to blame the left for whatever is going wrong in the Netherlands when you're having a government which is right wing ever since 1976, right? There comes a time that you need to say it is the right wing that is doing something wrong here. Not necessarily that left wing is would be doing any better. I'm talking about the left wing in the Netherlands, which is actually right wing, but a little bit more to the center. And the more to the center in the right wing spectrum, because we don't have actual left wing. Not even the Socialist Party; they are also not left wing, but that's for something else. Anyway, so this is what we are missing in the Western liberal democracy, so to say. And I think that people need to start to educate themselves. Really, I'm going to call for it again. I know you guys are getting really, really, really sick of me, but I really, really want everybody to start to educate themselves so you can make at least an educated vote, and you can also hold your government responsible for when they are going rogue. like they're doing now, right? You have no idea how to handle because you have no idea whether they are left or right. You don't know what their ideology is, so you cannot talk to them about it, right? So I give you an example. If they protest in China, they protest on a whole different level than here, right? A lot of times, the way they are holding their government responsible is through uh, calling them out on malfunctioning in the socialist way, right? Say, well, this is not socialist. Why are you doing that? We are a socialist country. We in the West, we cannot even say that. We because we have literally no idea, right? We are so busy and occupied with all the crap in our life that we are doing. It's quite entertaining, but it doesn't help you, and it doesn't help your neighbor, and it doesn't help your lovely family. And that is what we need to change. That is also why I wanted to show this. I mean, if you would bring your kid to a school like this and they learn to work together like this, right? And they learn that everybody needs each other, the world would be a better world, wouldn't it? And look how disciplined they are learning things. And you know, when they get home, they can cook for you. But I'm not saying that the Netherlands or any Western liberal democracy should take the school system of China, copy it. Absolutely not. But I think this part on learning about politics, I think that would be a very, very, very good idea. But then it also must be in an honest way, right? And that is just how it is, because it is kind of ridiculous that a 16-year-old kid in China can literally debate our seniors in Western liberal democracies on politics, and this kid will probably win the debate. And that's shameful for us. It's simply because we have no idea what it is about, right? I've seen a kid explaining the Ukraine war with its entire history leading up until that day. We cannot do that. We either are for or against one for whatever it is that the reason is. But most of the time, it's not a legitimate reason, right? Putin is a bad guy. NATO are bad guys. Well, that's what you get. But a real educated, in depth explanation, most of the time, you will not get. Not saying that not, because now, after so many years, a lot of people have investigated it. But right in the beginning, you didn't. Nobody understood it, right? And this is really, really what is lacking. And also the critical thinking, right? Because these kids are learning socialism, obviously they are learning critical thinking because it's a part of socialism, right? And that is why it is very hard for to fool them, right? Even with the Western propaganda that they consume a lot, they cannot be fooled because they automatically will ask, but what was leading up before that? What is the history of it? They will not simply accept something. And we in the West are simply accepting something because of a certain bias that we have, right? We live in an either or, right? Or you either with me or you're against me. A lot of times when I talk about something, when people ask me something about a position about whatever it is, then they say, "So you are for the other one?" I say, "No, I did not say that. You asked me for my position on this particular thing. Doesn't mean when I'm talking, for example, like with Trump, that I'm saying, yeah, I don't, I definitely am not for Trump. Oh, so you are for Kamala? No, I did not say that. I said I was not for Trump. For Western people, that is very hard to understand. That I can say I am not for Trump and not for Kamala because they don't understand. They should ask how, why, right? It's very simple because they're both puppets, right? But that's not the topic. My mouth diarrhea, you know that. But people need to start to educate themselves now, I think, and I keep pressing everybody on it. Please start, because it's kind of ridiculous and shameful that our adults just cannot even talk with a 16-year-old kid out of China about politics, or about capitalism. They know more about capitalism than we do. They don't. They know more about our form of government uh, than we do. Although they don't have the practical experience, obviously, because they don't live here. So sometimes they will learn it, but in the way that, you know, in theory works, but not how it works for us, right? Anyway, and that was it. I just wanted to share this. I thought it was very interesting, and I think that people really should start to think about it. And I think you should make effort to politically educate yourself, and yeah, that's it, and teach it to your children, because obviously it's very evident that we as elders failed to do so. I'm really sorry for the younger generation. I'm sorry, deeply, deeply sorry. We desperately have failed you. It's a definite failure on our side. But we have the chance to change the tie, but we can only do it through education. So start to educate yourself now. Start to educate your children on what is what. Give them the framework on for so they can start to do some critical thinking instead of wishful thinking, instead of bias thinking, and maybe they can later change it for us when they're adults, so we can have some hope, right? At least we didn't, betray them entirely like we have at this moment in time. We can still change that. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. I really, really hope that people will start to educate themselves on politics uh, with an open mind, obviously. This was your favorite half Chinese. Please like, share, and if you have not yet, then follow. And as always, have a great day. Your favorite half Chinese.